Well, good morning, everyone. It's Barb Katie here, and I hope you're. Good morning, everyone. I may be repeating myself, but there seems to be a little bit of a time delay this morning, which is sort of the way the day started and probably will continue. I don't know about you, but have you ever had one of those days that comes upon you way more quickly than you had wished it would have? Where you say to yourself, wow, if I just had 10 more minutes, um, if I just had a time to look at my notes, if I just had more time. Well, sometimes you don't always have more time. Sometimes things happen at the worst possible time. Sometimes time gets away from you. And so, what are you going to do? You're going to live in the moment because that's all you've got is the moment. And that's what my day is today. Hold on a second. That's one of the beauties of being live on Facebook. I ran a comb through my hair right before everything started, and of course, I found a hair or two here and there out of place, and I have to get it out of the way or it'll drive me nuts. Um, some days the trip, my sons used to say, was really short when it came to driving mom nuts. Uh, but today isn't really that day. It's just a day that keeps being interrupted as you go through it. And you have all these nice plans laid out. And you're looking forward to working your plan and moving forward in an orderly fashion, and life gets in the way. And that's what my day, I have a feeling, is going to be like. I'm just going to adapt to life as it unfolds uh, because most of it is beyond my control, and getting upset about it is just not going to be so helpful. So, if you've ever had that day, you can probably identify with me as we're talking this morning. And what do you do about that day? Do you let it rattle you? Do you let it upset you? Do you let it sidetrack you, derail you, uh, interrupt all the good plans that you had made? Or do you adapt? Are you flexible? Can you let go of the definite plans you had made and adjust as needed? Um, my grandmother was an excellent cook, and like most women in her generation, she did not write down recipes. And when I was a young girl, I would watch her cook, and I would say, well, Grandma, you don't measure and you don't have your recipes written down. How do you do this? And she said, you adjust as needed. And I thought, wow, that's profound advice that probably I'm going to be grateful one of these days for hearing her say, because she had lots of children, a big family. She cooked big meals every day for her family, and yet she always seemed to adapt to whatever the situation was. My father said that, even when all of the children were at home, that they managed. That grandma never seemed to get upset if a new person showed up at the table. There always seemed to be enough for everybody. And they just made it through, and dinner was a happy time for them because they were all together. And that's a lesson that I learned as a young girl that I didn't really appreciate fully until I became a woman with a family and responsibilities myself. And I can hear her often in my head, and this morning was one of them, where she says, adjust as needed. So, this is a day of adjustment, of flexibility, of being able to rearrange in order to complete the purpose of the day. And what is the purpose of the day? Did you have some primary target that you wanted to achieve? Just because things aren't going along exactly as you planned them you may be able to adjust as needed and still complete whatever that high priority item was. And I think that happens when it comes to weight loss very often. We have a plan in place of exactly what we're going to do to achieve the target we have set for ourselves. And if anything goes wrong, there's a tendency to say, oh, well, what's the point? And allow yourself to be derailed. Instead of saying, whoa, wait a minute, I can adjust as needed and I can still complete the primary objective. But you have to have that flexibility built into the plan. I think all of us have heard the saying, subject to change without notice. And life is very much like that. It is subject to change without notice. You will have everything lined up, spot on to the T, and somebody will throw a monkey wrench into the works in the most inopportune time possible. If you've ever planned any event, a birthday, an anniversary, events associated with tops, you have, I know, experienced the unexpected, unplanned for situations that do arise in such gatherings of that nature. The same way if you're preparing a meal and you reach for something you know is always in your cupboard and you suddenly find out, oops, it's not there anymore. So now what am I going to do to substitute for that missing thing or to adjust the menu so I can offer something similar that will still be tasty and get the meal on the table for whomever is going to join us and make it an appropriate meal as well. This morning when things were happening outside my door, it's been an interesting morning. We still have a lot of ice here, and the looking out my window, you don't see that because the sun has hit that part. But people's driveways are still pretty icy in spaces, and we had a couple of people that got stuck, and people were coming up with pickup trucks to try to pull them out, and it's just been an active morning. And they needed help, so they were coming into my house since I was close by and the door was open, and getting stuff out of the garage that they needed because that's the kind of neighborhood we live in. And so when I was supposed to be sitting down here getting ready for this meeting, I was helping people find chains and where the rock salt was and all this kind of stuff. But still, I knew that what was unfolding that was beyond my control in my life was going to be relevant to what we were talking about today. And it is that part of our plan that we build in that allows for adapting to changing situations and to flexibility. Very often in discussion at meeting, you'll hear the comment, well, I had a terrible week. I got off track on Tuesday. And I'm thinking, yeah, but this is Monday, 6 days later. Just because you got off track on Tuesday doesn't make an entire week bad. And is that a time to have discussion within the group about ways that when things happen, we can look at it with some eye toward being flexible and adaptive and still make it a terrific experience for us. One moment in time does not ruin your entire life. And I say that advisedly only because I know there are moments in time that are tragic and forever change our lives. Things that we don't want to happen, but that happen anyway. And we are there left to deal with what we must deal. Still yet, they build strength, they build endurance. Sometimes they build even stronger relationships among people because we come together when the need is greatest. I know in my own family, when uh, things that were tragic had happened, that is the time when my family shows their greatest strength. And I think that's true of most of us. And we learn who we can count on in a crisis. And very often, that person on whom we lean the most is the one who is most flexible and adaptable and says, it's okay, take a breath, let's regroup, let's rethink. This is now what it is. It may not be what we want it to be, but now is what it is. And how are we going to get through it as best we can, with as much grace we can, with as much kindness and caring and concern as we can, and move forward in the direction that the family wants to go. Um, that strength of flexibility and adaptability is probably one of the least acknowledged strengths that each of us have to some degree that we can work on. And what it has to do with, I think, is an ability to let go of the list and look at the situation as it is in real time, in the moment, and figure a way around. Um, if you've ever had your car stuck in the snow, you know the need to be adaptable, because some of the rules of driving in the snow are quite counterintuitive of rules for driving when the roads are clear. And our roads aren't always going to be clear. Very often they're going to be a little bit hazardous. They may even have obstacles in them that we need to move out of the way. There may be traffic jams, and we may actually have to go around things rather than try to plow our way through them, because that way is now blocked. So as I start my Monday, as jumble bumbled as it has been, I started with a smile and thoughts of real gratitude for the teachers in my life who have given me the gift of flexibility and adaptability, and knowing that no matter what happens, we will together get through it and move closer to our targets. This is the end for me of the first month of the new year, and I'm really excited to share with you that for this month, in spite of the snows, in spite of being trapped in the house, in spite of all the obstacles that winter brings sometimes to us that mess up our plans because you can't get out and shop or you can't get to meeting as you wanted to, I lost 5 pounds for the month. That is to me just a huge victory. And I wanted to share it with you today because 2022 should be the year for you. Every year should be your year, but let's declare 2022 as the year for you and make the best of every single day, no matter what comes your way. Do it with a smile, with a happy heart, and knowing that you're doing the very best you can every single moment of every single day. So go out there, Tigers, and slay those uh, foes that are trying to ruin your day, because the sun is shining. It may be a little bit cold, but if we bundle up, we're going to get through this together. Talk to you later. Bye.